Hola Marina, ¿cómo estás hoy?
Hola, Ben, fenomenal. ¿Tú qué tal?
Muy bien, gracias. We are at home today in our covered terrace, and we have got coming up part one of this real Spanish experience free workshop that we're running this week. Today we're sending you this video, and on Wednesday we've got a live stream coming up on YouTube. There's a link to that underneath, so you can bookmark it ready. It's going to be tremendously good fun, so make sure you watch today's video and come along to Wednesday's live stream if you can. If you can't, we'll send out a replay straight afterwards. But the more the merrier to be there in the moment. So, what are we going to talk about? What's this real Spanish experience all about?
So today we are going to be talking about listening and the importance of listening in the fluency path.
Yes. So between these two sessions, today and Wednesday's live stream, fluency is the goal. Your fluency, faster fluency, easier fluency. Today we're focusing on how listening fits into that, because it's a bit strange. You think, listening? Why does that make me speak better? But it's so key. Marina's going to tell you why in a minute. And on Wednesday, we're going to be looking at other aspects of fluency and how you don't need to be in a Spanish-speaking country to get really fluent, how you can do it better from where you are right now. So make sure you don't miss that. If you can't come live, we will send out a replay, but coming live is an awful lot of fun. So there's a link to that underneath, so you can bookmark that ready for Wednesday. And let's get going with today. So what we're going to do today, we're going to start off with a kind of what we call a coaching segment now. We're going to give you some tips and tricks and explain why listening is so important. Then we're going to have one of our trademark real Spanish conversations on an interesting, we hope, subject. So you get to practice your listening. So for this first part, I'm going to ask Marina some questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Because
Claro.
she's the expert here on,
Claro,
on
seguro.
all this stuff. Yeah. And she's going to answer in Spanish. But because we know we've got all different levels listening to this, from beginner to advanced, and this is useful for all of you, we're going to get Marina to answer in Spanish. Then I'll do a quick summing up in English after each point, okay? So don't say too much to answer each of my questions, or I'll get lost. Are you ready?
No hables demasiado, Marina.
No hables demasiado, Marina. Don't talk too much, Marina. Let's get into it. Listening is key to fluency. Es clave para la fluidez. Why?
Vale, porque cuando mantenemos una conversación, hay dos cosas que tenemos que hacer casi simultáneamente. Una es entender a la otra persona y otra es hablar nosotros. Si entendemos muy bien, nos podemos relajar y solo enfocarnos en una, que es hablar.
Yeah,
Y eso ya es muy importante.
Okay, so it's so key, because when we're having a conversation, there's two things going on, Marina's just said. So again, I'm summing up in case you missed anything, because it's so important. We're listening and we're speaking. It's a two-way thing. Mm-hmm. If we've got our listening really good, then we can just relax about that and focus on just the speaking part. So having really good listening helps fluency, because it's one less thing to worry about, right?
Sí, y también porque a mí me parece muy útil en cualquier aprendizaje dividir las cosas en trocitos simples, ¿no? A mí me gusta mucho divide y vencerás. Pues esto es un ejemplo de ello.
Yeah, so Marina, when she's learning anything, she loves to divide things up. She talks about divide and conquer, which is divide.
Y vencerás.
Divide and conquer. So divide things up into chunks, and that's just this. If you focus on your listening, then that's one chunk already really sorted out, and it's going to help leave space for things like fluency and confidence to really get going on the other side. So also, when you've got really good listening, your confidence goes through the roof, I can tell you. So we insist on that a lot. And, you know, talk to me about babies a minute, Marina.
Sí, claro. Los
What
bebés
do they do?
pasan aproximadamente 2 años escuchando y aprendiendo de nuestros gestos y de nuestras palabras, ¿no? Pues es muy importante vivir este proceso también. El aprender por la escucha y el interpretar y tener despierto, ¿no? Como tu brújula interna de lo que se está diciendo, del significado y de lo que hay alrededor, de lo que no se dice con palabras a veces,
Yeah.
¿no?
So Marina's saying this is what babies do. They spend around alrededor de 2 años, around 2 years, just listening. and and understanding what's going on in their environment. And when their listening is really good and they've got that really nailed, that's when they start talking. So this whole idea that listening kind of is just as important or even precedes fluency is borne out completely in human nature. In fact, I was thinking earlier, you don't see babies reading grammar books, do you? No, I mean, obviously they can't, but I mean, they don't need to. Claro. They, our daughter, I remember when she was 2, started producing subjunctives spot on in Spanish. And I was
y a corregir.
and correct my subjunctives not long afterwards. And I thought, I can't believe this. She's never had to study the subjunctive. She's never had to read a grammar book about the subjunctive or do exams about the subjunctive. She's got it all just from listening, and then it comes out perfectly. So,
y de hecho, yo creo que este es el gran secreto del éxito de nuestros cursos, que bueno, lo sabemos por gente que nos ha escrito a lo largo de los años, que pues gente que ha hecho todo nuestros niveles, desde Inspired Beginners hasta Advanced, y esta escucha continua les ha dado un montón de confianza, les ha enseñado un montón de vocabulario, un montón de estructuras, y a fijar en su mente las estructuras gramaticales también.
So, as Marina said, we think and we know from what we've been told that this is a great secret of the Notes in Spanish method, which is based on listening to us having real Spanish conversations. Because we've heard from people from the beginners, the intermediate, the advanced level, and people who've started at the bottom and gone all the way to the top, that just having continuous listening practice with us has made that kind of confidence and fluency possible, because it does give you confidence.
And also,
did I miss anything?
Yes, and also teaches you vocabulary and grammar structures.
Right.
You fix grammar structures in your mind. As a baby does, like the subjunctive.
I mean, also, this is what worked for me when I first moved to Spain. As many of you know, I spent an awful lot of time sitting in bars and on buses and on the metro, just eavesdropping and listening.
Cotilleando.
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 Yeah. Cotilleando. Being nosy, basically, and just listening to other conversations, because it was too fascinating not to. But I got so much vocabulary from that and so many grammar structures that it took away a lot of the other stuff that you might normally do in a textbook. So, which is more boring, really. So, it really does work. All right, quick fire round, Marina, and then we're going to get on to a real Spanish conversation for you guys to listen to.
Dispara.
Dispara. Go for it. What do you do when it's too hard? You're listening to a conversation, the person's talking too fast, you're listening to Ben and Marina's talking 100 miles an hour. What do you do? It's too hard.
Puedes.
If it's a video,
puedes ralentizar la velocidad y ponerla a 0,75%. No, a 75%, perdón, el cero me sobra. Al 75% de velocidad. Y si es alguien con quien tú estás hablando, le puedes pedir, por favor, ¿puedes hablar más despacio?
Yeah, so if it's a video like this, and you're watching on YouTube, then you can slow us down to 0.75 speed. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you might want to do that first and then go back again and listen to it at full speed, and you'll find the difference in understanding is enormous. So, I mean, that's a wonderful thing of new technology. Marina also said, if you're talking to someone else in a real situation and they talk too fast, you can say that phrase again.
¿Puedes hablar más despacio, por favor?
Can you talk a bit more slowly, please? Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that either.
No pasa nada. Yo lo he usado un montón de veces en inglés.
Yeah. Okay, next question. What do you do when you're having a Spanish conversation and you're trying to get your listening practice in with a Spanish person and they just insist on speaking to you in English? And you think, well, how am I going to improve my listening like this?
Vale,
It's quite common, we hear this often.
Sí, tenéis que entender que igual que vosotros queréis practicar vuestro español, a lo mejor la otra persona quiere hablar en inglés.
Yeah.
Entonces, bueno, pues le puedes preguntar, ¿te importa que hablemos en español o es que quieres practicar tu inglés? Y luego también esto nos lo cuentan mucho nuestros estudiantes, que les ocurre en restaurantes o en bares. Y también a veces pues sabemos que a los camareros les cogen porque saben hablar inglés y lo ven como un punto a favor, y de hecho los dueños de los bares les piden que hablen en inglés a los extranjeros.
Yeah. So you've got to remember that people will be replying to you in English like this for two reasons. Number one, they want to practice their English. And number two, often Marina says in bars and restaurants, these people have been given a job based on their ability to speak English, and they think they have to use it.
Or they are told to use it.
Yeah. So what can you do in this situation? Sometimes you just have to accept it. You carry on in Spanish, let them speak in English. But you could also say to them, do you mind speaking in Spanish? I really need to practice. My Spanish. And then they either will or they won't. But, I don't think there's anything wrong with asking that either.
No pasa nada.
How could you say that in Spanish?
¿Te importa si hablamos en español?
Porque quiero practicar.
Porque quiero practicar.
Sí, exactly. Yeah. Okay. The main point of this segment is we hope we've convinced you that listening is absolutely key to fluency. It's the way babies learn. It's the way I learned Spanish here in Spain. And it's also a method that we use at Notes in Spanish, and it's proved to have taken thousands of our students all the way to a very high level. And it's time for a real Spanish conversation right now.
Venga, vamos.
Okay, right. Remember, you can use the cog symbol here on YouTube to slow us down to 0.75 if you like. Also, if you're a beginner and you find this just too much, you need to go and be doing our Inspired Beginners course. There's the podcast, the worksheets that go with it. And when you go through that, you are going to become able to understand these videos very, very quickly. ¿A que sí?
Claro,
Isn't
seguro.
that right? A bit of context. We are going to be talking right now in this conversation about surprising times to have lunch in this country. Okay, we're going to talk a bit about the Spanish culture of, particularly in Madrid, well, maybe the whole country, of crazy late eating timetables. A couple of stories of examples from our life, which even surprised me. And then we're going to talk a little bit about whether this is common in Spain still, if it's a myth, and also our own daily rhythm, what we do, how we relax and so on. So we're going to start off with the question, what's the latest we've ever had lunch in this country? Okay, Marina didn't remember this, but it was marked on my brain. It was so surprising. Are you ready?
Claro.
Okay, Marina, ¿tú te acuerdas de la comida más, ¿cómo se diría?
Más tardía.
Más tardía que hemos tenido jamás, tú y yo?
Pues yo he tenido muchas veces.
Pues yo me acuerdo
Con
de
mi madre se comía muy tarde.
¿Pero muy tarde qué es?
3:30.
Vale.
Y algún día así excepcional,
Sí.
que vuelves de viaje, yo qué sé, a las 5.
Vale, pues yo me acuerdo de una vez que comimos a las 4:30 en un restaurante en Madrid que se llama Ilogi.
Yo creo que ya no está ahí.
Ya no existe.
Creo que no.
Vaya, era un clásico.
De los de toda la vida, sí.
Lentejas,
Íbamos
carne,
con mis padres
cosas
hace muchos
ricas.
años, sí.
Entonces, me acuerdo que llegamos al restaurante a las 4:30 y dijeron, sí, señores, ningún problema, sentaros. Y
Siéntense, dirían.
Siéntense. Entonces empezamos a comer como a las 5 de la tarde. Esa es la comida, no la cena. Y terminamos a las 6.
Puede ser,
Y digo, este país está
Yo
loco.
ni me acuerdo de eso, pero bueno.
Está loco, ¿no? Eso fue hace muchos años.
Lo que sí me acuerdo es de este fin de semana.
¿Qué pasó este fin de semana?
Que nos fuimos a caminar un poquito por la montaña con nuestros hijos. Y claro, como tenemos un adolescente, pues imaginaros, domingo por la mañana, no se levanta temprano y sacarle de casa hay que empujarle con grúa para sacarle. Entonces, pues nos fuimos a dar el paseo, a lo mejor comenzamos a caminar a la 1 y a las 4 nos estábamos sentando en un restaurante, bueno, un lugar en el Escorial que se llama El Cafetín, Crochet, sí. El Cafetín.
Un clásico. Sí,
a tomar unas raciones y comer algo.
Sí.
Eso este domingo pasado.
Sí, empezamos a comer a las 4 y salimos a las 5:30.
Sí.
Sí. Entonces, esto es normal hoy en día en España. Es normal.
Es posible.
Comer a las 4 de la tarde.
Hombre, no es habitual, pero es posible, claro.
¿Qué es lo normal?
Bueno, pues 2, 2:30, 3, 3:30. Eso es. De hecho, ahora hay muchos restaurantes que tienen turnos y te reciben a la 1:30 o a las 3, por ejemplo. Y tienen esos 2 turnos. Pero un domingo que es como que empiezas despacio y relajado, pues es muy posible comer a las 3 o 3:30.
Por ejemplo, en Francia, yo me acuerdo, viajando por Francia, si no entras en un restaurante como muy tarde a la 1, puede ser que no
Que no te
comes.
den de comer
O
luego,
la 1:30 quizás, pero a
sí.
las 2,
Olvídate,
olvídate.
sí,
Ya,
sí.
y
Esto nos ha
a
pasado.
las 2:30 ya cierran la puerta y todo el
Sí,
mundo
sí.
fuera.
De hecho, desde los Pirineos siempre queremos ir a comer a Francia, pero nunca vamos porque hay que ir a comer a las 12:30.
Y no
Y no,
somos capaces de
no,
comer a
no
las
entra
12 y
con
media. Sí.
nuestro...
Entonces, última pregunta, porque la gente nos pregunta a veces, ¿cuál es
Sí, nos ha preguntado
tu
recientemente
horario normal
un oyente, ¿cuál es tu ritmo diario
entre semana?
para trabajar, comer y relajaros?
Venga, dinos.
A ver,
Trabajar.
mira, ahora tenemos un ritmo que llevamos teniendo a lo mejor como un año, que nos funciona muy bien, pero que es muy personal, que es antes de sentarnos a trabajar al ordenador, hacemos deporte. Entonces, más o menos de 9 a 10, 10:30,
Deporte.
hacemos ejercicio. Luego hay pues duchita, desayuno y a las 11 nos sentamos a trabajar. Entonces, ¿qué pasa? Que esto empuja la comida a un momento tardío.
Claro, si desayunas a las 11, no tienes
A
hambre
las
hasta
10:30, más o
las...
menos, desayunamos a las diez y
Sí.
media, un buen desayuno.
Entonces, comimos a las 3.
Comemos a las 3,
Comemos.
incluso a veces a las 3:30.
Sí, sí,
Sí.
sí, sí. Así que nada, y la cena a las 8.
Y
O
la
así.
cena a las 8, sí.
Sí,
Tenemos
sí.
un horario como entre europeo, cena europea y comida española, o
Yeah.
sea, una locura.
Sí, sí. Bueno. So there we go. We talked about some of our latest ever lunches, one which was just this last Sunday, and the one before that I talked about a long time ago with Marina's
Maybe
family,
20 years ago.
where we started eating it. We sat down in the restaurant at 4:30. I mean, crazy. Anyway, and then we talked a little bit about our daily rhythm, also whether eating late is common in Spain or not. So tell us, you can let us know underneath, how much did you understand? Remember, you can go back and listen to the Spanish segment again if you like. Why not? You'll get more out of it. One phrase that Marina said jumped out at me. She said that we started very late our Sunday this week. We were going to go for a walk. We didn't start walking till 1 because it's hard getting our teenage son out of bed these days. Marina said, hay que empujarle con grúa.
Sí.
You have to push him. It's funny, push him with a crane, no? Or you kind of
Sí,
lift him out of bed
sí.
with some kind of like crane.
Hay que sacarle con grúa, habría sido más
Vale,
correcto.
hay que sacarle con grúa. Yeah, you need a sort of one of those building site cranes to get him out of bed. Okay, but we managed it. So, how much did you understand? Leave us a comment and tell us, does this sound completely crazy? What time do you have lunch? What's the latest you've ever had lunch? Could you survive with the Spanish timetable?
Ten en cuenta que tomamos un desayuno potente a las 10:30 y eso nos hace aguantar hasta esa hora.
Yeah.
O sea, este es el equilibrio que hemos encontrado para hacer deporte, trabajar con energía y ser más felices.
Yeah, so Marina's saying this is our daily rhythm where we kind of do exercise till 10:30, then have breakfast, then have lunch about 3 p.m. It's the kind of way that we've found to fit exercise into our life and to sit down with energy to work because we've already moved our bodies, and we're very lucky that we can design things like that. Okay. Coming up on Wednesday, we have got a live stream. If you've ever been to our live streams before, like we did a series in January, you'll know that they're an awful lot of fun. This one's completely free. We hope you're all going to come along. There's a link underneath to it. It's already set up, so you can bookmark that ready for Wednesday. We're going to be focusing on the question, which we talked about recently to a very small number of people in a Zoom call. Is it crucial to live in a Spanish-speaking country to get full fluency? And it's a really interesting question.
You said earlier it's better not. You didn't realize.
I said it's better not to.
To live in Spain to be fluent.
Well, I didn't mean that. I mean,
it's an option.
It's an option.
But it's not the only one.
And we're actually going to look at both sides. If you do live in a Spanish-speaking country, we're going to there'll be lots for you to learn too. And if you don't, you're going to see that you can still become very, very fluent. And we're going to tell you how and why. Okay. Also, during the live on Wednesday, the live stream, we're going to be making a special announcement because we've got a very special course starting this week. We're launching something very special, so you want to be keeping an eye out for that, which is all about listening and fluency. And to make sure you miss none of this, we hope you're getting our newsletter. It's always packed with real Spanish. There's always some good vocab or phrases in it, and it means you never miss one of our videos or great events like the one coming up. So if you haven't signed up, make sure you do so via the link under this video. ¿Algo más?
Nada más.
¿A qué hora vamos a comer hoy?
Uf.
What time are we going to eat today?
Hoy no tan tarde porque tengo que ir al dentista
Well, it's 2 p.m. already.
con nuestra hija.
Right, she's got to go to the dentist with our daughter. It's 2 p.m. already. We haven't
2:30 maximum.
We haven't eaten yet.
2:30.
So it's looking late. Okay, we'll see you on Wednesday.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.